Hi everyone, how is everyone doing today? I see six participants join in. So before I start the presentation, I had a request. I am unfortunately fighting a really bad cold today, and I won't be able to turn my camera on, but a lot of you have seen me before, and you'll be able to see me in the presentation as well. Um, I'm fine. I can conduct this webinar, but then at the same time, like I said, I won't be able to turn my camera on because I'm not feeling well. So let me share my screens. Okay. So today's topic is a topic that I have always thought about presenting. It's about professional networking without feeling awkward. And I know that we all have connected with people, professional contacts in some way, shape, or form. But networking is something that has to be intentionally built and nurtured because even though in today's world, I know I talk a lot about social media presence, personal branding, that is all good. But the second step of it again is networking, is connecting with the right people in the industry. That they are people that are doing the same thing that you are doing, so they can share their experiences with you, authentically share their experiences with you. Or there are people who are decision makers, such as casting agents and managers who own agencies and can get you gigs. So professional networking is a science and art. And one of the things that's really important when we're connecting with people is to get to know them at a personal level. Because once you get to know someone at a personal level, and they are kind of more than acquaintances, I would not say friends, but more than acquaintances, like that's someone who really cares about you, that can really help you get ahead in your career. And that does not necessarily mean that when we connect with someone, we always want something from them, but we all need help, right? We all need help from each other. Um, so we're going to focus on building relationships that create auditions, collaborations, and opportunities. I would also like to briefly mention that yesterday's workshop that was about LTK and turning your influencer profile into a revenue model so you can, generate revenue on it. I know there were a lot of questions that I felt like that it was a bit, a lot of people had some questions around it. They wanted to ask more. And I always try to bring fresh content every time we have a webinar. So what I'm going to do today is after this is complete, if people who attended the webinar yesterday, if they had any questions related to that, they can ask that during the session as well. That is totally fine. We'll be focused on this today, but at the end of the session, I'll make sure that we have 5 to 10 minutes. And if anyone has any questions about that, they can ask that at the same time. That is totally fine. So as you know, I began my career as a fashion model before transitioning into business, where I've spent more than 16 years helping brands, entrepreneurs, and professionals stand out in competitive industries. Today, I combine my experience in both worlds to help aspiring models and actors build their personal brand, increase their visibility, and position themselves for paid opportunities. I am passionate about helping talented people turn their passion into a successful career. So these are some of the learning outcomes of this networking webinar. Um, After the webinar, you'd be able to introduce yourself without sounding rehearsed, start conversations with industry professionals, ask questions people enjoy answering are very important. You might look at some of these things and think anyone can ask questions, but you have to ask the right questions in order to be memorable. So busy people can remember you because you always ask questions that are based out of based out of curiosity. Follow up without chasing or feeling needy. When you send people a lot of emails sometimes or check up or follow up, people can often feel like, God, you're needy, you're annoying. And we don't want to present ourselves that way, but follow up is still important. Build relationships that create future opportunities. So today's goals are you will leave with a repeatable networking system, not just more confidence. So you can, not during the webinar, but after the webinar, you can take notes and you can turn this into a framework that you can use when you are uh, going out there in the world, let's say to a new casting call or a new networking event. And you can use that as a framework to see who I'm going to connect with, what I'm going to talk about, how I want to present myself. So you'll have all of that. So I don't know if you're aware of a guy. His name is Dale Carnegie. I'm a fan. I've read his book, and he talked about how to network and make how to network, build influence, and make good friends. And this book has been used as kind of like a main, source of inspiration in the business and personal development industry. He has like these golden rules of networking and how to build deeper relationships. And those deeper relationships can really, really help you get ahead in life. So what he talks about in his book is a 2-minute partner drill. And you can do that at your home with someone you know or with a peer that you met at 9-9. So partner A, one of the partners, imagine like two people sitting in the room, speaks for 60 seconds about a project they care about. Partner B may not talk about themselves. And then partner B must ask two follow-up questions using something they actually heard. And then you switch roles. The main idea behind this exercise or behind this drill is that most people, even myself, when they meet someone new, let's say they are on a job interview or they are at a casting call, they normally love to talk about themselves because their whole idea is if I open up with like, my name is Maya, I'm an actor, I have attended so many auditions, I have been in this, a short film, these are my good strengths. So it's all about yourself. They don't start with talking about the other person that they're interacting with. And the other person can take it at you as a lot of other people who come to them and always wanting things from them. So it's really important to learn something about this decision maker, learn something about what their work is known for. So if it's a casting director that has like done a lot of great short films, has done certain type of photo shoots, and they have really successful projects in their portfolio, it's really important for you to get to know that person. You can do research online about them and learn more about them. So when you go on the casting call, and if you happen to meet them, you can be like, I really admire your work. And I saw this recent photo shoot you have done, and that's what inspired me to be here. And, I would consider myself really fortunate if we get to work with each other. And I'm sure when you say that, they'll start talking about themselves. Let them talk about themselves. Don't be impatient. Don't interfere them. Don't interrupt them. Let them talk about themselves because now what you did is at the end of the day, you built a personal connection with them and they are going to remember you for it because everybody else is going to come up and say, this is what I'm good at. That's why you should work with me. What you're doing is you're telling them, I want to work with you because I think you're really great. So see, there's a lot of difference in both interactions. So this exercise is a great exercise because I think that we all love to talk about ourselves. It's fair enough, And if you do that with a partner, let them talk about themselves, anything, tell them that, you can talk about a recent project that you did. Listen to them very patiently, very intently, and then ask them two follow-up questions. So what was the hardest part about this project? What worked out for you? So this, and then switch roles. You can do that, and then they can ask the follow-up questions. Repeat this, rehearse this, and it will make it would be easier for you next time you're in an actual event to practice this with an actual decision maker. You can use the same exercise when you go to a networking event and you're seeing new people, brand new people. You can talk to them about about this as well. What are you working on these days, you know? So your next lead may sit outside your inner circle. I always talk about this because that's why I'm a huge fan of social media or digital channels because you might be connected with 10 people, 20 people, 100 people. You know, if you're very social, you might be connected with 500 people. But then your work can come outside of that circle of acquaintances and friends, the people that you know. And that's why it's really important to be intentional about networking and connecting with people. So you're always adding a high value people into your network because then you might never have to apply for an audition. Like that should be the goal, right? Everything that we are doing from building up personal brands, social media, everything that we are doing right now is because we want to come to the point where we are so visible that hiring people reach out to us instead of us always reaching out to people. They like know that, okay, there is someone called Tom that lives in Chicago, that he's a really good actor. He's a really talented individual, and I really want to work with him. So that's the level we want to get to. So everything we're doing right now is to get to that level, basically. So this is a network map and write three names if you want to if you're thinking about God, I need some paid gigs and I know all these people in my network, but I have already made those calls, but I really need some paid work. How do I do that? So you can take a diary or you can take your note-taking app on your phone and you can basically list those people down. You can write four of your contacts, five, 10, whoever they are. I can say, okay, check, I called all of them, and right now there's nothing that, they can get me into. So then create a network map. Write three names. A recent acquaintance, someone recent that you had an interaction with. Maybe you were at a casting call and met this decision maker and you didn't make it, but you know their name. You had a recent interaction with them. Someone you met once and respected, possibly a dormant contact. A dormant contact is someone you had an interaction with and you just didn't follow up. It's okay. We all are busy. Busy people understand that others are busy as well. But if you remember them, list their name as well. And then an adjacent creative, a photographer, writer, producer, stylist, editor, or director outside your role. A lot of photographers, even makeup artists, writers, they are connected to casting directors as well. So they are very important contacts. It's an indirect way of connecting with someone, but I always call them channels because they know people that you want to work with. So it's really important that when you work with a photographer, I always tell people, especially younger individuals, right? It's like, be nice, connect with people, take care of people, be empathetic to them because you never know who knows who in the industry. It's a small world. So you always want to leave a lasting impression on a photographer. And the same approach that I'll be teaching you here today about asking people what's going on in their world before you tell them your story, it applies the same to a person that you're not going to get directly paid projects from because they might remember you at a personal level and refer you to a paid project in the long run. So whoever you're connecting with, whether it's a free photo shoot from photographers to makeup artists to hairstylists to editors to writers, make sure that you're leaving a lasting impression because you're leaving a trail of information behind um, across all of these people, and they'll share that information when the right time comes. You'll be surprised when you start practicing it, how much work you can generate just by doing that. So this is a second Dale Carnegie principle. It's make the other person feel seen. Very, very important. We all want to be seen. We all want to be seen in our relationships. We want to be seen in our job. We want to be seen in the world and the society. And, a lot of people who are aspiring models and actors have, I think, a deeper desire to be seen. They want to be on a stage where people are seeing them, admiring them for something. So seen doesn't mean, obviously, you understand that from a visual standpoint, like I'm seeing someone with my eyes. It's about recognizing the fact that are and you exist. And more than that, you exist. You are Maya, you are 25 years old, you are very talented, you have a distinct look. These are some great things about you. So it's about recognizing the fact that, you exist. And that's what it means that, people want to be seen and they want to be heard. So if you're not seen, you're not going to be heard. So the 10-second warmth check, that's what Carnegie talks about in his book. Make eye contact without staring. Personally, for me, it's super awkward to do that. I had been told a long, long time ago that I am neurodivergent, and for me, it's very hard to make eye contact with people sometimes. It makes me feel weird, and it feels like I feel like I'm making other people feel awkward as well. So it's a practice. It could be shorter eye contacts where you recognize the fact that, you're seeing this other person, and then it can look elsewhere for a little bit as well. Uh, I would like to add that in certain cultures, especially in I know Far East, Middle East as well, making eye contact with the decision maker is considered rude. But across the West, um, Europe and the United States, it's fine to make eye contact with people. We in the West, we think that if somebody's making eye contact with them, they're authentic, they are the real deal. So it's okay to make eye contact with people. And like I said, if you feel awkward about it, make that eye contact and then look elsewhere and then shift back to making that eye contact. Use the person's name at least once. We all feel really awkward, especially when we're meeting our heroes, let's say, or someone that really inspires us to address them by their name. But it's really important. Everyone has a name. This is not a Carnegie principle, but I would still add that if you meet someone that really inspires you and you think they're amazing, they're great, approach them genuinely and don't talk to them as if you're talking to a superstar. Talk to them as if you're talking to another human being. A lot of successful people, they normally get a lot of admiration from everyone. Everyone who meets them tells them how amazing they are and wants something out of them most of the time. So they're kind of tired of that. They want to connect with people at a personal level. So if you happen to meet someone really famous or someone that inspires you, approach them as humanly as possible. Talk to them about their work, but say, hey, I think you're really amazing. Don't show them that you're like so inspired, you're like starstruck. They experience that all the time, so it's really exhausting for them. And address people by their name. Um, Relax your shoulders and hands. Feel like show people you're like you have this unflappable confidence about yourself without presenting yourself as an arrogant person, and just relax your shoulders, relax your hands. Notice one specific detail before speaking. And there are sometimes interesting details. Like look at it. Are they sitting down and, enjoying a drink with their friends? Um, are they just relaxing and want to be away from the crowds? Or it's just a time that they are taking right now working on something. So these details are really important because whenever we see a decision maker and we get a chance to talk to them, normally people either get very nervous or they get very excited. And sometimes we miss those details. So those details are really, really important. And then pair practice. Introduce yourself twice, first while distracted, then with full attention. Your partner describes the difference, not your personality. So this is another type of exercise as well that you can, there's a note there with pair practice because you can do that at home or at the agency when you're meeting with someone, with a peer, with a friend. I would always say don't do these exercises with a very close friend because you already know them and you might feel very comfortable with them. So I would highly recommend you that the people that are in the groups today, unless they're your best friend, do it with someone at 99 who's also attending. Tell them, hey, I attended a networking workshop and there are some things that I would like to practice with you because I'm improving my networking skills so I can connect with other with industry leaders. And obviously we'll say, okay, well, sure, I like to learn some skills as well. And then you can practice these exercises with them because if you don't know that person, some things would be surprising. You want to have that element of surprise because you're kind of honing in your networking skills at this point. So these are super fun exercises. And yes, I think you will have a good time doing these things and learn more about yourself as well. So, and I'm sorry, I think I didn't mention that normally, when I'm on my, like, let's say 10th slide, I'm going to take a short break and then I'll open the floor for questions. So if during that time, if anyone has any questions, you can just raise your hand. I'll unmute you and then you can ask that question. So build your 15-second introduction. This is amazing. Like what I have done for myself personally is I have created this like little AI studio where all the email templates that I have used all my life, they're there. And then AI helps me like generate this content really fast. And then I kind of just fill in the blanks. But I read it always, obviously, before. So now that we have ChatGPT, you can do this, you can put this template in ChatGPT and say, I'm connected with, Tom Holland. Can you please fill up this template? Because this is his name, this is what he does, this is the information about me. Can you please create an email? So basically build your 15-second introduction. I am whoever, I am this type of talent, focus on this area. Right now I'm building experience in whatever specific direction, modeling, editorial. So the example is I'm Maya. I'm an actor and creator focused on character-driven comedy. Right now, I'm building more short form work and looking to collaborate with emerging directors. So this little blurb would come after you have taken the first steps, which is introducing yourself, because this is let's say an emerging director, new director, say, I really admire your work because I have seen, film X, and I think the creativity there, it's really it's a work that's really close to me, and I'm so excited to meet you at this event. And then they might talk about it a little bit. And then you can say, by the way, I am Maya and I'm an actor and creator. And then you can use this script basically and practice it in front of the mirror again and again. So when you are saying these things, they don't sound rehearsed or robotic. They seem like it's natural, coming from you. So it's your turn now. You write it, say it, remove anything that sounds unnatural. When you rehearse things, sometimes they can sound unnatural. And that's why it's really helpful if you can practice with a friend or if you can practice in front of the mirror where you can see yourself as well. So follow-up questions when you have a conversation with someone are more powerful than clever questions. So basically, clever questions are, a lot of people do that unintentionally. Clever questions are questions where people basically ask this question to really prove to the audience or to whoever they are trying to impress that they came up with the smartest question in the room. And that's sometimes not very helpful. Follow-up questions could be about what the person said. Because, so for example, I'm not encouraging you to do that, but I'm just saying, let's say I'm presenting this, like I'm taking my time to present this to you. And you ask a follow-up question that's related to this, what I'm presenting, or say, hey, what's your personal experience with networking? That would that would make me feel very good about myself because then I'm gonna be like, oh, I can share a personal story about this, and or you are taking an interest in me. So follow-up questions are more powerful than clever questions, like really, really intelligent questions. Intelligent questions can be kept for academic settings, for people who are in academics, like they're attending a university and they are studying some type of science and they ask clever questions. But even there, sometimes follow-up questions where you're taking a real interest in someone or asking the whoever is mentoring you that, hey, what's your personal experience with this thing? Or makes the other person feel really appreciated. So across 3 studies, which means like they talked to some people, interviewed some people, collected some data. Across 3 studies, people who asked more questions, especially follow-up questions, were liked more because they appeared responsive. Everyone loves a responsive audience, not a passive audience. A passive audience, and this does not apply in this setting because we're all on mute here, but when you are on a casting call, if a casting director is saying something, raise your hand, ask your follow-up question. But if you're passive, just sitting there, not interacting, it's just very hard for the mentor. I have been in on occasions I've seen like you're presenting and it's like no one asks any questions, and it starts making the speaker a little bit nervous because they really want people to react. They want people to be responsive. If the casting director or any decision maker happen to look at you, give them a smile. Address that, yeah, you saw they're looking at you, so give them a smile. So use a 3 question ladder. First, open up for a follow-up question. What kind of project are you excited about right now? Follow the detail. What made that project especially interesting to you? Go 1 level deeper. What did you learn that changed how you work? So it's basically this is what a follow-up question should look like. And it should be a single question, but you can like create an opening, follow the detail, go 1 level deeper. So basically, for a follow-up question, if they are talking about some of the work they have done, or you prior to attending the event, you know who's presenting, you have seen their name, and then you do your online research and you come back to them and you said, I have seen this amazing thing that you had done. What excited you about this project? Then you can ask why this project was especially interesting to you. And then you can go one level deeper and say, how did this project change your work? If that project was big enough, then you can ask that question. So these are some examples of follow-up questions. So role play. This is again another exercise. Enter a conversation without interrupting. Very hard. I have the hardest time doing that. I'm always excited about sharing my experience, and I mentor people as well. So it's hard for me not to get excited about sharing my experience. So it's listening is a really important exercise, conscious listening. So two people are already speaking at an industry event. You would like to join them. You don't know them, but you would just like to kind of like pop in and join them. How would you do that? So try this. Approach within their line of sight. Wait for a natural pause, then say, "Hi, I am whatever your name is. I heard you mention this topic. May I join you?" Ask a question before introducing your resume. Don't start talking about, "I am this and I'm an actor and I'm," don't start with this. Just basically ask a question that's interesting and could be related to that topic. I heard you talking about all the recent auditions that are taking place in Chicago. I heard you talking about how the film industry is changing. I have a question for you as well, and then whatever your question is, you can share that with them. So practice in threes, two conversations, one enters, rotate until everyone tries it. So if you have like six people, break yourselves into different groups, go to each group and ask. These exercises would be very important when you're in a real world setting. So you're basically, it's like a kind of like a demo. You are demonstrating your social skills. And then when you get out there, you're going to feel comfortable. A lot of extroverted people uh here, they would think that, oh gosh, I already know these things. But we don't intentionally think about these things. And that's why sometimes a lot of extroverted people, when they present themselves at an event, they can either unintentionally put themselves in a position where people are like, God, this person is really like love to talk about themselves, and they don't mean it. They're just trying to build connections there. So these exercises, this is a very like studied, well-researched way of networking and connecting with people. If you're doing it with partners and you're rehearsing this, when you go to an actual event, it will be very easy for you to present yourself. So keep that in mind. So after this slide, we are going to take a short break. So if you have questions, please prepare and then you can ask. So do not try to meet everyone in the room. This is a weird situation that I often experience, and I've talked to other people in the experience as well. When you go to an industry networking event, you don't sometimes you're thinking, should I stand in a corner? Should I be in the center of the room? Oh God, I don't see anyone I know here. So don't try to meet everyone in the room. Set a three conversation goal, basically. One peer you can grow alongside, someone in the same industry, they're also an aspiring model and actor, and they are experiencing the same things you are experiencing. So you just connect with them. One person whose work you genuinely respect, that would obviously be a decision maker, or maybe a model who has done it before and now they're mentoring, like people like myself, other coaches that help you guys. You can generally connect with them because they know people that they can introduce you to. One person outside your usual circle, and that could be a photographer or someone. So if you go with an intentional goal to an industry event and say, I'm on a casting call here to get selected for an ad campaign, but today I'm going to meet one peer that is someone like me, and I'm going to be like, hey, how is it going for you? What's something exciting you're working on these days? And then I'm going to introduce myself. One person whose work you genuinely respect, which I said like could be a decision maker. Research them. It's not possible these days to not know who's showing up at an event. So you could do your research and you could be like, okay, I'm going to connect with that person. Connect with that decision maker. Say, I really admire the project that you are working on right now, and that's why I'm so excited to be here. And then introduce yourself. And then one person outside your usual circle, maybe a photographer, and say, I love working with, like, I really admire your work, like the work that photographers do. And what is your genre? What are some of the things that you work on? So connect with that. So that's kind of like mission accomplished, right? You have like these three people that you are going to connect with at the event, and you did it. So, and before leaving, write one detail beside each name and decide the next step. I'm going to connect with them on maybe a social media platform. I'm going to follow up, perhaps send them an email, or just simply remember them. Also know that these days it's very easy to get someone's email. There are so many tools. There is a tool called Rocket Reach. It's very expensive, so I wouldn't recommend that. But if you search on Google for Rocket Reach or ChatGPT and then say cheaper alternatives for Rocket Reach, you'll find a lot of tools that basically help you find someone's email. And it's totally okay. You could do that. Actually, people admire that. They're like, oh, I'm important, this person made the effort to look for my email. If you feel like at an event, sometimes people are very busy or they're mentally preoccupied. So if you suddenly ask them, hey, can I have your cell phone number or email? People will be like, oh, I don't even know you. So that's why I always, after events, I always find tools to look at people's email and then send them a really nice email. Hey, connected with you at this event, had a really good time, would love to keep in touch. Here's my contact information. So make sure you intentionally start doing that because as you do that at networking events, casting calls, photo shoots, imagine that every event now you're working, probably you're getting paid, but then at the same time, you're increasing the context that you have consistently. So it's going to help you maintain work in the long run. So I am going to stop here because I want to see if you guys have any questions. Anyone has any question they would like to ask? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about it. And like I said, it could be about the last session that we had, or it could be anything about this, and then I'll unmute you. If we have a shy audience today, you can send me a message. We can chat as well. I always respond to people privately. Okay, well, it seems like no one has any questions, so I'm going to share my screens again and we'll resume our presentation. If you think about anything, just raise your hands again. Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm just trying to share my screen here. Hmm. Hmm. I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time sharing my screens. I'm just gonna, okay, it looks like we have a few questions here. So I'm going to respond to a few questions and then I'm going to go back to sharing my screens. So I responded to some of the questions. I think some people asked some really, really good questions, and these are often questions that I see as well. Okay, so someone wants to ask a question, and I hope they start a viral movement where you all start asking questions. Because I'm here. I mean, we're all friends. You can ask any questions that you have. Okay, so Maurice has a question, and I'm gonna. Okay, I unmuted you. Hello.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I wanted to know, like, when you talk about approaching people in the room to talk to, if you feel like they're kind of disinterested in you, like maybe they're glancing over your shoulder from time to time, or they got their arms crossed or whatever, should you like stop trying to engage in conversation with them, or what should you do?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And I think a lot of people have that question. So the body language that, you refer to, like if they're crossing their arms or standing in a style that seems they're very protective about themselves and they don't want to interact with anyone, don't worry about it so much, especially in the modeling and acting field, because I always say that when people show up on an event, even we do that to some extent. People are wearing like this protective armor around themselves, like I'm really cool and I don't need other people here. So some people present that. Don't worry about it. That body language might be there to show people I'm a really, really confident person because they are feeling nervous. So don't worry about that. But if they're looking over their shoulder or trying to show you that they're too busy to talk to you, be nice about it and say, it was great chatting with you, and then move on to the next person. Don't even think about it. Make sure that your brain completely gets this memory out because it's not you, it's just them. They might not be having a good day. I always add that too, that if it's a social event, an adult social event, they might have too many drinks. It's also possible. Or they might be nervous on their own because they have to meet someone and they are preparing mentally for it and don't want to connect. And some people are just plain rude. They just like making other people feel like they're not important. I met many of those people. So it's just one of those things that if you're genuinely trying to connect with them and they're just move on to the next person. It's when you show up on a social event, don't show up there as a social, don't think about too many social emotional things. Put the emotions completely on this. I think I'm here for business. I'm going to earn at least three contacts walking away from this event. That's my goal today. Don't think about how you feel, how other people, don't think about any of those things. Because in business, I always say that friends are elsewhere. In business, really no one is your friend. That's my point of view at least. So when you show up, you have this goal, you have to meet three people. One person that's just like you, aspiring talent. There is another person who's a decision maker you need to connect with. And then there is a third person that might be in of the photography or, they're artists. So just as long as that goal is met, you're good. You did your job. And then continue moving on to the next people in the event. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That makes perfect sense. Yes.
Okay, great. Uh, Anyone else has another question? I love interacting with folks when we're on when I'm conducting a webinar. So that's why I'm asking again and again.
Good morning.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Day just getting started over here, and
Awesome. So,
yeah.
yes, you had a question?
Mm-hmm. So, so it was basically the answer. So it's basically the question I typed in the Q&A. So basically, where you constantly post your talents and all that, but you barely get any engagement or interaction. But then you post something like off topic from your talents. But then you post something that's like off topic from your talents, say you post some off topic from your talents. All your followers start engaging and stuff. But then all your followers that you probably all your followers that all your followers start engaging.
Yeah.
Even the ones that you haven't talked to in years start saying something. But then you're constantly posting like your talents and stuff. Like for me, my main thing is music. So when I post my music and stuff, I'm barely getting any views and stuff. But then if I post something else, I get lots of comments and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I read your question as well, and I think it's a really great question. So basically, it everything I'm showing right now in this webinar, it's about taking interest in people personally, right? And that this applies to social media world as well. So it's not because people are not so much interested in your work. They might be interested in content like behind the scenes, or they want to find out what's your personal story about the work that you're doing. So there's an indirect way to promote your work. It's a known fact in the industry that if people start promoting their own work, and it makes sense, right? Like they talk about their trade and what they create music or they're a model or they're an actor, and they start talking about that work. There are two types of audiences. One type of audience is like he has a lot of things going on for him, and I kind of envy him. So I'm just not gonna follow or engage with this because I don't want to deal with that right now because I don't have a lot of things going on for me. So that's one. Number two is some people would think, oh gosh, he's bragging about his work, that he's very talented. So there are the only two. I don't think that, but I think there's the two types of audiences. That's why when you're doing something, when you're sharing something personal, they connect with you because they are not envying you at this point. You're just presenting yourself as a human being with experiences, and it doesn't make them feel bad about themselves. So with your work, one way to get engagement for this type of audience is to, and I don't know what your audience is like, if it's your friends, a lot of them are your friends and family, then it's very personal, right? They would be like, well, we're interested in him as a person. We don't care as much of what he does, right? So what I would do is I would start talking about the personal aspects of your work. So the best content on social media is that's why behind the scenes are so popular. Let's say you are creating music. Instead of talking about, I'm releasing this song, I created this music, composed it, talk about the behind the scenes music. Or today I'm having a really like bad day. I'm trying to focus and I can like show your vulnerability, show them that it's not easy to create music. Like musicians and artists have times when they're really frustrated, no good ideas coming to them. And then you would see people would start connecting with you because you're showing them that you're vulnerable. You have hard times as well going through the process. So people like journey content, like your journey, and people like behind the scenes content, and they also want to know in the day in the life off instead of the actual talent that you have. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Do you have any other question?
Uh, not at the moment that I could think of.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you. And it was a great question. Anyone else? Anyone else has anything they'd like to add? Okay, then we'll resume our presentation here. I am so sorry. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Oh, here's the mouse. Okay, give me a moment because it's I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty on my end, so I'm just gonna try to connect again. Okay, can you see my screen? So we were on slide 10. Okay, yeah, okay, let me share my screens again because I'm having some issues here. Zoom is acting up on my end. So if you don't see my screen, please let me know. Can you see my screen? Okay, I can see that it's sharing now. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for confirming, Stephanie. Okay. So our 11th slide, basically, in resuming the presentation, is about a DM lab. I call it like direct message lab, turn a cold message into relevant context. So one way to, let's say you see someone on Instagram, you have never met with them before, but you know they're a casting director. One way to say is, "Hi, I love your work. Can you help me get represented?" Too much, you're asking for too much by telling them too little. And also saying, "I just love your work." So if I read this message, I'm like, you're telling me you love my work because you want something from me. And another better way of saying that is your post about self-taping pacing changed how I prepared my last scene. This is just an example. The note about whatever specific detail they shared was especially useful. Thank you for sharing it. So basically, just leave it there. I'd love to keep in touch, or I'd love to collaborate with you in the long run. So that's where you can end it. So basically, and then you can say, "I'm an actor looking for opportunities. Please check out my profile." Now you have told them specifically what you liked about their work. You'd like to keep in touch, and then you're talking about themselves. So the rule here is specific observation first. Be as specific as possible. Just saying "I love your work" is not enough. Request only when there is real relevance. And if they don't respond, don't feel bad about it. Move on to the next person. There's plenty of people online, especially that you can reach out to. So in your day, take at least 2 hours of your day to send all these messages to people that you want to work with eventually in the long run. So collaboration, lead with a specific shared benefit. So this is again a group exercise. The situation is you want to collaborate with a photographer or creator whose work you admire. Build the ask. What is the one sentence, concept? What's the genre? What would you like to work on? Why does it fit their work, not just yours? This is very, very important. When you want to connect with people and want to work with them, you also want to tell them that if they work with you, it would be valuable not just for you, but for them as well. So turn it into a collaborative project where they're like, "Oh my God, I really want to work with this person because they they have given me this idea that this work will be an important addition to my portfolio as well." What will you contribute? So think about them more than you were thinking about yourself. Like, if they work with you, what is that one value they would get? And what is the smallest reasonable next step? What does that look like? Is it like meeting you in person? Is it connecting over a Zoom call really quick so you can talk to each other? So think about all those things. So the script here is I have an idea for, like, let's say an editorial photo shoot that connects with your work on fashion, let's say. I can contribute photographs and this work that you would do together. Would you be open to a one-page outline? And the one-page outline is kind of like a brief that you sent them. This is what you want to do, and this is why you think that this work that they will do with you is going to be valuable for them. Uh, Follow up after an audition or introduction, very important again. So when you attend an audition, make sure you're following up with people. So within 48 hours, don't ever wait longer than 48 hours. "Hi, my name is whatever. Thank for the conversation today. Your point about whatever the specific detail they shared with you stayed with me. I appreciated the opportunity and would be glad to stay connected." If there was a real next step, like the casting director say, "Hey, call me after this event, we can connect." And then you could say, "You mentioned this project or resource. I'm sending the promised item, whether that be a resume or a reel or whatever they ask for here. No rush. I simply wanted to follow through." And then be specific what you're talking about, be brief, and don't ask for immediate favors. Favors take time, so we have to be patient to build those. So reconnect with someone who already knows your work. So research on dormant ties. Dormant ties means you met someone and then basically you didn't keep in touch that much, and it's kind of awkward to reach out to them again. But research on dormant ties found that reconnecting can restore trust and shared perspective while adding fresh information. If you haven't connected with someone, let's say you had a friend, you think they're doing amazing, and you would really like to connect with them, or just say you would just like to connect with them. And it's been a couple of years. A lot of people think if I connect with someone, they would think, "Oh my God, she forgot about me, and how is he or she reaching out to me after such a long time?" And that's not what most people think. It's because people are busy. They get busy in their life, so it's okay. So write this message now. "Hi, my name is this. I was thinking about, shared perspective, like a project class you attended, event you attended, after seeing specific trigger, like you could say, oh, I was at a 9/9 event and I was thinking about that time when we attended that class together. I have been working on whatever you're working on these days. I genuinely enjoy hearing what you have been building. And check its specific shared memory because that would be like it's an instant connection for people. Brief current update what you're working on right now and why it's important to connect. No disguised favor. You're not asking them to do anything for you. And it's easy invitation to respond. So basically that's I've always seen that that's helpful. And you could see throughout this presentation, we're talking about different type of contexts here. Contexts like decision makers, how to connect with them on events, people who can connect us to decision makers like the photographers, makeup artists, hairstylists. And then we're talking about people like us, like the talent, the aspiring people. Don't underestimate them. Having them in the group or just having someone to talk to who's working on the same thing is really, really helpful. So there's all types of different contexts that we are talking about. And then make clear, respectful asks. So audition or representation, I saw your casting, whatever their casting was. My work in this specific area may be relevant. May I send you my materials through the preferred channel? So collaboration, I have a specific idea that collaboration is really good when you're working with photographers or makeup artists. I have a specific idea that could fit both of our audiences. Would you be open to a short outline? And then advice. You're asking someone for advice. You have built experience in a certain area. If you had 10 minutes, I'd value your perspective on one specific decision. So practice that with a friend or with an acquaintance. And basically, peer check is the ask specific, proportionate, and easy to answer. So practicing would help you and you'll get better at that. So 6 behaviors that close doors, leading with the favor before building context, which is like, I would love to be a part of your audition and they don't know anything about you, don't know anything about them either. Give a long resume instead of having a conversation. Sending generic copy and paste messages. A lot of people are doing it at ChatGPT. I don't even open ChatGPT messages sometimes if they're not customized. Mistaking persistence for repeated pressure. Persistence follow-ups are okay. Only contacting people when you need something. Failing to deliver what you promise. So the fix-it challenge here is choose one red flag. We all have one of those red flags. So choose one red flag and rewrite the behaviors of concrete action. Like I'm not going to ask people for favor before building any context. And right now it's hard for me to do that. So I'm going to grab a friend and I'm going to practice one of these exercises with them. And then I'm going to show up at an event. So it's okay if you have any of these red flags and you can change these behaviors. So your 7-day relationship building challenge. It would be super fun if you practice it, in my opinion. Write and practice your 15-second introduction. Identify 5 people you genuinely want to know and haven't, like, let's say, even connected with them for a long time. Leave 3 thoughtful, specific comments. Start 2 conversations without asking for anything. Follow up with one person you recently met. Share one useful opportunity or resource. Create a simple relationship tracker and schedule one follow-up. Small actions create future opportunities. One thing I would like to add this before I end this session for today is even connecting with a peer and telling them that, hey, I saw this casting call. It wasn't a great fit for me, but I think it would be a great fit for you. Once you start doing that, your friends would be referring you to work as well. And that's how you build a very successful network, where there has to be mutual value shared there across different people. And small actions create future opportunities. It's really important to remember. So here's my contact information. If you would like to, reach out to me, if you have any questions about this presentation, an idea, I'd love to hear. So you can, if you want, you can take a picture of it or however, I'll keep this tab open for some time. And then in the meantime, I'll see if people have any questions. But it's, if for some reason I couldn't respond to any of your questions, feel free to send it to me via email or text me. And in a little bit, I'm going to stop sharing the screen as well, because as I mentioned, I want to make sure that I respond to everyone's question before we call it a day. So, okay. Okay, so, well, it's time for us to end the session. It was great having you all here. And as I mentioned, if you have any questions, thoughts, something you're working on, Feel free to reach out. I love hearing from people. And yeah, I see you next time. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.